The ramblings of a woman obsessed with restoring the balance. The better model. I can nearly pinpoint the exact moment I became a feminist. No, it wasn't when I took women's studies in university, nor was it when I played baseball or field hockey in high school. It was when I was in grade 6 and 11 years old. Coincidentally, that was the first time I was sexually assaulted. I just remembered that now. I'm tripping over it. Just give me a minute. I grew up in a rural town, and my teacher lived down the street with his wife and his 2 daughters. This is a disturbing fact now that I think about it, but it was the 80s and the height of men behaving badly. To give you some context, I was the smallest in my class, and my grade 6 teacher tried to hurdle me in gym. We were playing basketball, and I was dribbling away from him, and he went to leap. Not quite high enough, he missed and teabagged me in the back of my head. Yeah, it was a scarring moment. In December of 1985, I got my first ugly Christmas sweater. Of course, we didn't call it that back then because it would hurt our mother's feelings. It was a white sweatshirt with a massive painted mistletoe emblazoned on my very flat chest. On it, in swirling black cursive that most of my classmates could not read, were the words, "Kiss me." And he did. My teacher called me to the front of the room, where he abandoned his desk tucked in the corner to sit like a king in his tiny throne, mansplaining so wide that he would place his hands cupping his inner thigh as if holding them apart. I mean, this was a guy who would sneeze in his hand and then wipe them in his pockets, and then proceed to touch everything in sight, even though there were tissues on his desk. Anyways, I digress. This ass called me to the front of the class and waited for me to stand directly in front of him before grabbing my face and pressing his hot, wet lips smack dab in the middle of my forehead. The message on my sweater did not occur to me. Only the humiliation did, along with the instant want for the world to crack open and swallow me whole. This was the teacher and the year that turned me into a feminist, but not the moments I just described. Nope. It was because of a song he had us sing in music class. Back to she ma. I'm not going to sing it, but the name says it all. While everyone was working through the words, I kept picturing this hillbilly with no teeth who couldn't master one-syllable words. Then I realized that he was singing about his wife, who couldn't read, who couldn't cook, and he was going to pack she back to she ma. His wife somehow didn't meet his standards, a dumbass who couldn't figure out the English language. The song angered me, although at the time I couldn't tell you why. I just knew it was wrong. I remember looking around the room, waiting for the other girls to react, the smarter, more vocal girls, but they just sat there singing along, a song about returning a woman like she was a fucking appliance. Unknowingly dyslexic, but very aware of my inadequacies, school was always uncomfortable for me. So I stayed very small in class, and I never really wanted to stand out. So the last thing I was going to do was to be the only person who stood up and protested this blatantly misogynistic song. Back then I didn't know the words, but I did know the feeling. But I want you to consider the implication of this in the 80s. The message it sent not only to the girls and their role in this world, but most kids grew up in nuclear homes, which meant they would go home to a mother and father. This song devalued our mothers, implying that our fathers at one point felt the same way as this song. This music lesson has stuck with me for 40 years. Today, I can put my feelings into words. My grade 6 teacher made it very clear that women are disposable. That lesson, along with every encounter every woman can relate to, led me to challenge the patriarchy and wish to see it replaced with a better model.